and we are brokered by EXP. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it just started. Okay, we'll start over. Hi, I'm Meredith Wilkinson.
I'm Brittany Coleman.
And we work in Southwest Florida. Our branch office is called Coastline, brokered by EXP. We're super excited to be here with you today. Let me see what... Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm doing everything.
We just want to make sure that we're on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're good?
Very good.
All right, we're good.
Thanks, Jess. Okay, so today we are talking about using the DISC profile on the DISC assessment while you are with buyers and sellers. Brittany is a pro at this. She's obsessed.
A little bit.
Really quickly, do you want to go ahead and tell us like a little bit about the DISC assessment and what it is and what it means?
Okay, so we have been in several different coaching programs. I know that Jessica and Randy are fans of the DISC as well. So we have been using this with our hiring process for the people that we bring in, and we've been able to use it to communicate to our customers better too. So that's what this is it shows you. So this one's mine.
No, it's not. No,
this one's yours.
That's your husband's.
That's my husband's. This one is yours. I don't know where I put mine.
That one is yours.
That's not mine. I had it in front of me just literally a second ago. So what it does, let me just hold this up. Okay. So let me read off to you so what this means is, where's the DISC?
Right here. These different
letters.
We
just shuffled our papers around.
I know.
Before this.
I'm going to put these over here. So these different letters stand for some different things. So when you take this assessment, it asks you some questions and it tells you, we use it to let agents know like what kind of style of lead gen they might enjoy best. Or when communicating with clients, you want to be speaking the same language that your buyers and sellers are speaking. So we were both teachers. They often talked about, differentiating your learning. Everybody learns in a different way. So you need to make sure that you're hitting, every single person.
Right.
So this is kind of a way to quickly assess your clients to make sure you're communicating information to your buyers and sellers in a way that they're going to understand best. So the D is more of a decisive person. They have some adjectives here that go with a high D personality. So we have determined, competitive, demanding, driving, daring. Yes.
Competitive. Did you say that? Competitive?
I think so. So okay. Those are high D personalities. For a high I, you have persuasive, inspiring, interactive, enthusiastic, sociable. So those are very interactive people. A high S, which what's the percentage of the general population?
69% of the population in the United States has a high S.
Somewhere in their profile. So that is, the S stands for stabilizing. You have patient, predictable, passive, stable, consistent. And then a high C, the C is cautious. So you have someone who's cautious, a perfectionist, systematic, careful, analytical. So that's just an overview of what these letters stand for. Brittany, what are you?
This is mine, actually.
I know. Sorry. I was right.
Okay, this is my profile. I'm a very transparent person. Okay, so I'm an 81D. So this is my natural state. And then I could be a 70D when I want to listen to other people. Okay. And then my highest is the I. Those are people who are really, really interactive, right? So a lot of teachers, like she was saying, a lot of teachers have that high I in there. They're very interactive and personable and, like to be around kids and people and all of that. So we were both teachers. And then I do have some S in here, but I'm definitely not high S. So I like some comfort, but I do lean more towards this like okay, I like to be comfortable, but I really like to just dive right into. So
I have a much higher S than Brittany. So when we're making business decisions, she's like, oh, let's go for this like awesome new idea. And I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe we make a chart, to see the balance here.
So she keeps me in check. And then I'm very, very low C. So like, I do like things to be perfect. I am a perfectionist. However, I care less about the details than I do, being around people that high I, and then like jumping in and kind of, I'm pretty competitive, friendly, in a friendly way. I'm competitive against myself. Okay. So that's mine. So, when I am working with customers and when I am going to a listing appointment, I have to keep in mind that I have that high D, high I personality. And if they are SC, let me just describe to you my husband for you.
Here's his.
So my husband is very,
super
very
high
S,
super high C.
So that S is just that stable person. They're really warm and friendly. They are a little bit more soft-spoken if they don't have the I, the higher I mixed in there. And then the C, the cautious part, my husband is very, very cautious. So when we're making money choices or we're changing something with our business, or even when we were buying a house, I was the like, I'm all in. And he's like, hold up. And we're so opposite on that because I'm high I, high D, the interactive and like the driven and determined. And then he's that soft-spoken SC. He takes more time to get things done. But after he learns it over and over and over, and he knows how to be correct in his work, then he will focus on efficiency and get things done. So that high SC personality, he's our office manager at work. So he likes data. He likes data entry. He does our books. He does have some of that I in there, like kind of like right smack in the middle. He's about a 50 I. And so he does like to be around people, and he's very interactive as well.
So you're kind of like, okay, here's the end goal. We're going to jump in and we'll figure out the details. Mm-hmm. And then sweet Jordan is like, let's figure out all the details and then we'll jump in.
Mm-hmm. So he's very slow, right? He's very slow to process like what he's doing, what needs to happen in what way, because he wants to execute it perfectly. That's that high C. They want to be so extremely perfect and accurate that Jordan will freeze. Like if there's like something in the middle that is like not perfect, he will make that perfect before he moves on to something else.
So how do you see this playing out? Like when you're working with, first we'll say sellers.
Well, when I am going to so before I go to a listing appointment, I have a pre-listing appointment screening. I have like a pre-listing appointment that I do. So I give them a call and I ask them some questions, and I want them to talk. And sometimes they are, sometimes they won't talk. And I know if neither one of them are talking, they do not have a high I.
Yeah,
definitely no. Okay. So I'm like automatically crossing that off. When I go to the listing appointment, I'm not meeting somebody that's like, hi, Okay. So
how would you react to that? You're not going to show up and be like, I'm in a high day. It's a great day. High-fiving people.
That will make them very uncomfortable because that's not their language. Like that makes them feel, when I talk to a really high D and a really high C personality, sometimes I am a higher D, but that C mixed in there, they're very straight to the point. There's a lot of they're analytical, like engineers, CPAs, like that type of personality. When it's somebody that starts talking to me and focusing on numbers and price per square foot and asking me about very specific teeny tiny details about this house that sold down the road at 123 Main Street or whatever, I know that I need to make my market analysis extremely accurate and I need to really know what I'm talking about, and I will make sure I know about every freaking property in that whole neighborhood before I walk in there.
Have the data for those people, like
right.
for sure, to a T.
And they're looking at you like you are the professional when you have all of that data. So the high, if it's somebody with an IS or an ID or a DI, you can fake it till you make it a little bit more. I mean, I don't think it's ever a good idea to go in unprepared. I think it's always the best idea to know all of, everything that has sold in that neighborhood, pull the comps that are closest to that property and know what you're talking about. But, I think you could fake it, a little bit more with,
someone who doesn't have that C in there.
Yeah. And like the, just high D, high C, like just very like straight to the point numbers, that kind of thing. That's going to be like that combination of the decisive, dominant, determined, and that cautious, like that analytical brain. So that would be like a DC or a CD. An IS, so an IS is going to be, they're going to have the high I again is like really interactive and like, warm, friendly. The S is more supportive, stable. What are the other adjectives again on the S?
Oh, for the S.
Yeah. Passive,
predictable, consistent, steady.
So, remember that there's 69% of the population like has an S in their
Let me just give an example too. Like one of our main markets, we used to be slammed in the summer because we had a lot of our peers who had young families, right? So they wanted to go from one house, they were having some kids, and then they wanted to upgrade. And when the whole craziness was happening, like during COVID and stuff, we heard so many times, I would upgrade my house for more space, but I just don't know where I'm going to go. And so they wanted the stability. They didn't know where they were going. And the fear of the unknown was not good. And
it was like crippling to them. Yeah.
So then, we had some strategies for how to combat that. And,
we did.
And we would educate them on that. And some of them were then able to take the leap because they fully understood everything.
Right.
But that was one thing that we had to overcome during that.
So that's an example of like a dialogue shift. So when you're talking to that high S personality, which is going to be most of everybody, there's going to be so many people. You have to make them feel comfortable somehow. So we sold the leasebacks no other. We were like, you know what? Like we can negotiate a lease back for you for like 6 months. And we did. We got a lease back for like every seller that wanted one for like 2 years, starting in 2020 up to very recently. It was very recently with the market change. That's one of the biggest things I saw that was different is like, you don't have people really asking for lease backs anymore because the sellers aren't as in control as they were. It's still a seller's market, but they're not as in control now. So,
okay. So I'm wondering, I'll put you on the spot. I'm wondering if you want to share because my husband and I sold our house with Brittany and then we bought a house with Brittany. So she has experienced us, selling and buying. I have a really high I, and then my husband is an engineer. So we're pretty different. So why don't you talk about what it was like helping us sell and buy? Because we did do it at the same time. She was so great. She coordinated us to do both on the same day. Why don't you talk about that?
Wow. Yeah. That was 5 years ago. You believe that?
I know.
That's insane.
I know.
Okay. So when I was helping them buy and sell, she started working with me literally right then too, which was kind of fun. But
it was just a lot of Meredith all at once.
It definitely was lots of Meredith. Okay. With them, Brock wanted to make spreadsheets about everything.
That's my sweet
everything. Comparing houses and like pros and cons, and then comparing interest rates and those types of things. So I am not IC at all. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is driving me nuts. we know Brock, we're obviously good friends now, so I can say that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is just taking forever because they're just like looking at everything and weighing the pros and cons. And it like Brock is a very analytical mind. And so it was definitely a shift there. So with them, I definitely had to be ready to talk numbers, and that had to be my focus.
Well, to him,
So
to me,
him,
I was like, oh, I can
yeah.
see my kids here. Oh, we're super close to Publix. Like, that's so great.
And she's high I, high D. So which is with what I am. So we're the same. So that was easy for me to connect with her. But like Brock is an equal decision maker. You know, sometimes you got way more decision maker, and sometimes somebody's just like a little bit more. I don't know really with them. They're very close. I think they're like pretty 50.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
It seems like it. So I think that's the other thing that I have learned is that I'm trying to figure out who has that high D.
Out of like if there's two,
right.
Or sometimes, like we've gotten into situations. We're so grateful to have those listings, but sometimes, like if a parent passes and then there's 4 children, right, making the decision and signing the papers on what needs to happen. And then there's a lot of players in the game that you have to make sure you're communicating to each person in the language that they, can understand.
This isn't very important. They need to feel the warm and fuzzies in that transaction because you want referrals from them. So there was a time that I decided I would not have Meredith work with me. And
directly. I was still part of the company.
Right. She was just doing another job. Totally. And what I realized was like we were just so like in sync, like because we had worked together so long, and we just know how to like change that dialogue. And we like 5 years of like literally being like connected. We know how to talk with each other very well. We know how to communicate with each other. And so that was challenging. That was challenging for me because I wasn't able to, I guess, have that. I don't know. It's just easier for me to communicate because we're the same. So as far as the disc profile, it's very, very similar with both of us. So between the both of us, like we were able to communicate with the clients really well because we got used to this kind of stuff like really early on. And so, I mean, it's definitely been very, very helpful for us. We use Wise Hire. I don't know if we said that in the beginning, but when people are coming onto our team, we have them take this test, and we have yet to do a training on it. We're going to very, very soon. So you guys get a preview of what we're going to be doing. But we talk with them, or we are going to be talking with them about their disc profile, and we have to help our agent partners to understand when someone is speaking a different language, because when I'm speaking English and she's speaking French, we can pick up on that right away. But sometimes people don't pick up on each other's differences super quickly. And there might be just little small things that people are missing, like at a listing appointment, and things aren't just quite clicking. And you're like, what's going on here? As we've gotten to really dive into this, we have definitely won more listings. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you want to touch really quickly on like I know like you have this book for your listing appointment. So Brittany goes to a listing appointment, basically just starts asking them questions. Okay. Like, what are you excited about? What are your concerns? Like, any past experiences that were not great. And then you can tell depending on their answer, which section of the notebook to flip to. And that'll also help give you an understanding of where they might land, if they're talking about numbers and stuff like that, or maybe their agent didn't communicate well last time. And so communication, that'll give you an indicator on where they end up here. And then you can then click in your brain and start communicating to them in the way that would help put them at ease.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what was I going to say? Something along those lines. Yeah. Oh, in my tabs, I mean, it talks about communication, experience,
In your tabs, in your listing
in my
appointment
listing
notebook.
appointment notebook. If they start really talking numbers, I am ripping out my data sheet that talks about my production. So, okay, well, I've done this many sales. I have this much market share. I am your your ideal agent because I have most of this market, or I sell more houses than everybody else or something like that. And if you don't, and you're talking to a DC personality or a CD personality type, or just somebody anywhere in that really high C, and you're a new agent, you want to talk about that market and know it inside and out to be able to get that listing. You want to just keep hammering in all of the things that you know about the market. I will tell you that experienced agents do not have time to sit there for 2 or 3 hours really diving into what's the price per square foot right now? What are the new listings like, on the market? What are the comparable neighborhoods looking like? If I have a buyer at this price point and they're searching for this certain criteria, what are the neighborhoods that are going to compare to that? The people who have the knowledge is power, right? They're gonna win a lot more listings. So, I mean, no matter what, even if somebody isn't a high C, you're going to look really freaking experienced because, things.
Mm-hmm.
So you can win more listings and not be an experienced agent. You could be brand new and win listings over an experienced agent just from knowing the data. What else should I say about that? Anything?
I don't know. I was gonna ask you, like, if you had any other examples of a time where you like really, like, was there ever a time where you figured out, maybe halfway through, like, oh, I should actually be, maybe speaking to this client this way instead of this way?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there have been times that I've really messed up where I didn't have that phone call interview first, and so I'm like pre-screening them, right? I'm just asking their upgrades, and then I'm asking them, what's your time frame? When are you looking to sell? And I'm trying to figure out what their motivations are and how to best communicate with them. If they start telling me story after story after story, okay, they're high I.
Yeah.
But there have been a lot of times that I failed and I did not do that.
And you just like show up at the appointment because you wanted to get to the appointment.
There have been very few listings that I have lost. And I think all of them, I did not pre-screen the client. I did not have that pre-listing appointment on the phone.
So you might have not even in your conversation with them, you might not have been showing them the things in your listing appointment that they even care about.
Exactly. So I can save it sometimes, but if they're a high I, and honestly, like anybody, if you're giving them the time of day and you figure out, what their motivations are, you can start to connect with them before you go to that appointment. You're going to be a warm, friendly face to them. If you are, if somebody calls you and says, hey, I want to list my property or whatever, and you're like, okay, yep, I'll be there tomorrow at 3 p.m. for a listing appointment, and you don't take that time, they're already getting that experience that is like that doctor that like doesn't have like the bedside manner that you're looking for. You just feel like you're brushed off.
Oh, I just recently listened to a podcast by our dear friend, Mr. Buffini. I wish he was a dear friend, but this is just a little side note. He was talking about, what was he talking about? You have to, the lady he had on there, you have to lead with your warmth before you lead with your competency.
Yes.
You have to have both, but you have to always lead with your warmth, or else like people won't even listen to the knowledge that you have because they're just not connected to you.
Yeah, they're closed off. Yeah. You could say the truest thing to somebody But if they're not feeling connected to you, they're not going to hear it.
Mhm.
They're not going to hear it. If they've already connected a little bit to another agent, they're going to be, going off in that direction.
Well, we don't want them
we
going
don't
over
want that.
there.
Yeah. No. But anyway, anything else?
That's just an overview. I mean, we could do a whole nother one on how we hire using this. Also, this is really cool, Wise Hire. I don't really know how Brittany set it up, but we get the disc profile, and then there's an additional one in there too. We get 54 pages of someone's personality that we dive into. So it does provide you with a lot of literature.
I do want to mention one thing. We don't actually send this assessment to our clients.
No, we send it.
We have just gotten really good at figuring out which category they belong in because we're doing it over and over and over and over again. Right. So
our branch office.
Right. So, I mean, we've always been really big into personalities. It's sort of a thing.
It's her thing.
I love to see people's superpowers. It's super cool to me. But this has definitely helped us a lot. This is more of a recent thing. We started really using this more like in December. And this has helped a lot. And so we've sent it out to our team members. We have 21 people, which is so exciting. We like them a lot. And we've sent this all to them. And so we've been able to understand better how to best communicate with them and what maybe they're expecting of us. And it's just easier. Like we can kind of cut to the chase a little bit easier because we understand how we're communicating. So this has been very helpful. So
yeah, I agree.
Else? So that's
Along
Wise
with our
Hire.
Office staff.
I think it's like 200 a month or something like that. If you're a team and you're hiring all the time, or you're bringing in agents, I would highly recommend it. Jessica uses something else. I can't remember what it is, but
she loves hers too.
Yeah, it sounded really good. I'll have to get that from her and share it with you guys. But
yay!
I think that's it.
The disc. Have a good week.